Yeah.
and the
Okay. Cool. We
broadcast
are
is
live.
live.
We are
Yeah. What's up, brother,
live.
man? Yeah, yeah.
So, dude, it's really good to see you and really good to hear your voice again and catch up. I don't think I've seen you in wow, how many years, man? It's been a long
Bro,
time.
it's been, man, it's been a while since the Copley boys. I mean, this has been this has been like what? It's probably like 7, 8 years, dude. I don't think I've seen you in about 7, 8 years.
I think when I saw you last, we were on the coast of South Africa. We went on a holiday there with the Copley family and with your dad and
Yeah, yeah. That was South. It was probably South Broom. That's why.
South Broom. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
good
dude.
times.
Yeah, the
Good
South
times.
Coast. The fuck, I miss that place so much.
So tell me, man, life in Costa Rica, how is it, man? Like, how does it compare to South Africa? Because you've obviously lived in South Africa most of your life, but you've moved to Costa Rica how many years ago?
It was 7 years ago.
Okay.
About 7 years ago. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's dude, it's an amazing place. You know, the way I got down here was, you know, like a need, a necessity for me at that time. And I knew I was going to be going somewhere and just living somewhere. And then
Mm.
this came into my field of vision through someone I was coaching at the time. I was coaching tennis.
Okay.
And and then yeah, man, it's just, it's been a beautiful, amazing, growth-based, rocky, fascinating journey the last 7 years, which has felt like 20 years,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah, yeah. So it's been amazing. It's been incredible. It's just
And
yeah.
what made you think of Costa Rica? Like, what brought you there out of all the places you could have gone to?
Well, the whole understanding was like I was teaching a mate of mine tennis, and his name's Tom.
Mm.
And at the stage, he came to me and he was like, bro, I feel like you need to go travel. I feel like you need to find yourself or something.
Mm.
You just don't seem like you're fully happy. And obviously at
Yeah.
the stage I was not. I was, you know, dealing with like long lost series of depression in a way, of
Okay.
just, going through from when I was 10 to, needing to leave, but not really knowing how to do that.
Yeah.
And then that's when, it was kind of like, look, if I'm not leaving, then, and my life's going to end pretty quickly type vibe.
Yeah.
So this was kind of like a last stint of like, I got to get the fuck out.
Yeah.
And so he mentioned something. He's like, dude, Costa Rica, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, where the hell's Costa Rica?
Yeah.
We don't know where it is.
Yeah.
It's so like foreign to us where we are,
Yeah.
And so he was like, yeah, dude, it's amazing. And I, go teach English there type vibe. And I was like, perfect. And then he said pura vida, which means pure life in Spanish. And
Okay.
I was like, dude, what does that even mean? Is that like Chinese or Japanese? He's like, no, bro, it's Spanish, and it means
Yeah.
pure life, and so on and so forth. And I was like immediately connected to what that meant because I love culture. I
Mm.
love, peace, tranquility. That's exactly what this culture embodies fully. And yeah, man, I was just like done. I didn't even do research. I kind of booked tickets a few weeks later, just left and organized myself to stay with a local family, which I, arriving, didn't really know people only spoke Spanish
Mm.
because I didn't do any research. So I was kind of like, oh shit. I arrived at the airport and the guy's speaking Spanish. He's like, "Mae, ¿dónde vas?" And I'm just like, what? Are you joking? I was like, oh my God, this is so outside my comfort zone, which was,
Yeah.
in hindsight, it's amazing. But at that point, I was just like, oh my God, what's going on? And then
Yeah.
I showed him the name, the name of like the place. He's like, okay, see, I'll take it, which is like an hour away. And then I showed him, the name of the mom I was staying with because it was a host family. So I was like, he's like, see, I know. I was like, what? You know this person? On the
Yeah.
off chance? And, so he took me there and then the whole thing started, it was kind of like rural area, cows everywhere, no English. And it was a big introduction into the culture, which I love today.
Yeah. Fantastic. Very well.
Yeah.
Well done on being adventurous enough to just go with your intuition and end up in some foreign land. And it seems like you've built something quite incredible up. I see you've got retreats going and you're doing all sorts of wonderful things, man. Maybe you can just share what sort of retreats you are doing and how they're going. Love to hear more.
Sure, bro. Yeah, so I was always into kind of like health and wellness. I loved NLP work at the stage. And, I was always in that kind of vibe.
Mm.
So when I came here, I was offered a job to teach at like a weight, to give some backstory, to give like a weight loss retreat, and they did it through juicing. So I was kind of like, okay, well, I was like, yeah, of course I've trained before, which I never did at that stage. But my energy was kind of like, yeah, let's just do it.
Yeah.
So I kind of got in as the trainer in this retreat, and I kind of, things kept going. I learned a ton about nutrition, which is kind of what I teach as well, like integrative nutrition, juice detoxing, fasting, and so on. Intermittent fasting is huge for my life that I live as well. So that kind of built the process of, coaching people, doing nutrition and so on and so forth. So, I picked up a few clients that were becoming online. And then it was kind of like, oh, well, can you, train me online? Kind of like, personal training. Because I built a knack for, knowing how to train people pretty effectively with tons of injury without using any kind of like anything else but like cool body weight, plyometrics, and breathing. And then that got me into kind of like, okay, well, one of my clients was like, hey, dude, listen, you must do life coaching. You're kind of a life coach. And I was like, who's a life coach? And that kind of grew me into I took a course to kind of give me a basic on what life coaching is.
Yes.
And then that got me into what I'm doing now, which was, my primarily my clients were always women. I found I always held space well with women, non-judgmental, very safe space, so they could always open up around me very easily. And then I was approached by my retreat partner, Tanya, who came to one of my juice trucks, my first juice truck I built with a friend of mine. And then we kind of, got talking. We were like amazed. We're like, our energies are incredible. This is so in line. So she's kind of like an intuitive healer, Pilates instructor, and so on. And she was like, hey, listen, I have a whole bunch of women who want to come down and do retreats, and I want you to join. I want you to, partner up with you. Let's do this. And I was like, no expectations. I would try to create a bit of my own retreat back in the day. So I did a bit of the groundwork. And so I could apply this to this new retreat, Vibrant Living Retreats. And it was beautiful, man. These women came down. It was 6 women to start. And we created kind of what we wanted to do, not what we thought works in a retreat. So we didn't want it to be yoga based. We incorporated a little bit of yoga and breathing in every retreat. But what our goal was like self-love, healing, how to integrate that back home, which is the big thing. Because what we were doing is we were helping women shift very quickly from, I hate myself. Who am I? I'm completely disorganized with my life. I haven't put any attention onto me, to having crazy awakenings within 2 to 3 days of, what is self-love? How do I love myself? What is my self-image like? What is my self-worth like? And then going from there and going, oh my God, this is incredible. And them going back home. And we found there was a huge transition of, we have to focus quite a lot on integration, because our girls were having these amazing awakenings. And, when you're having a huge awakening, it's very easy to go, oh, I want to drop a lot. Whatever's not serving my best interest, I'm going to drop. And then I'm just going to go. So we were having women who were like wanting to divorce and wanting to do this very apt and very quickly. And we were like, okay, we got to slow this down a bit. Learn to integrate the girls back in slowly, and essentially, communicate their growth to their partners and their family in a more effective manner, right?
Nice.
So it was kind of like, okay, this is my path I'm on. I would love you guys to join me and understand where I'm going through. And then there was more communication and a better ease of integration, because they would also, essentially all the programming that would come up eventually, they would have to let go energetically. So there was tons of crying and emotional releasing throughout that. So we became better at that, and so on and so forth. So essentially that was the retreats that we were doing. What's happening now is what I found with my partner and I is we want to get into more online courses to reach more people effectively. Because, bringing people down, pitching to new people, doing 6 months in advance, asking them to spend like, 3,000-4,000 US, which in Rand is a bit for a week. It's a lot, and it's a big ask, you know what I mean? And if you don't have a huge pull from that, it's difficult. And then the time invested, prior, during, and after a retreat is a lot. You know what I mean? So we're kind of we're kind of evolving to a degree. We're both very much in this understanding of, we want to now try promote what like you're doing with the workshops. You can reach more people, and what we want to do is reach more people. Make a simple subscription, or make like an online course that's like a handful of videos that covers one topic, where both of us have our interesting, beautiful dynamic. Her being very in touch with her feminine strength as a woman, understanding as a leader as well. And then you have this kind of a young man as, strong in his masculine, but also very, open in his feminine, which is kind of his receiving, his opening, his understanding. So our dichotomy we have with each other, our balance, our symbiosis is beautiful, which creates, essentially the healing that we do. So so this is our new step, which we are reaching to. On a personal level, I have my juice bars that I do. So I have a juice bar in Samra that I used to run, that I've shut off now because I started a new juice bar with the gilded iguana. And we're a year up running. So I've been doing that, which has taken kind of the most of my time the last year. And yeah, man, now I feel a big call to get into a lot of men's work, aiding and helping men
Cool.
kind of get through that shift.
Everything that you're doing sort of helps each other, because with your juice bar would be a great opportunity for you to start getting email addresses and people's contacts and building a database, and then inviting people, say, onto your online courses, and maybe once or twice a year running these retreats, So it's like, it almost is like a pyramid where people enter at the top, and then the next level is the next section, and then, and then there's the next section after that, which would be your retreats. So
exactly.
like it could really work well, man. You got something going that can really work.
Yeah, thank you, man. It's coming. It's been cool learning, I think, more business-based things. Like, that's the thing with coaching. I found is like, coaching was great, but it was kind of like it wasn't tangible enough for me. You know what I mean? I needed to be hands-on with something. So that's where the juice bars came in handy. Create something, build something, sell something, and receive a buck for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that kind of, I was really excited to kind of do that. So the last like year to 2 years, I've been focused more on kind of like, the retreats more part-time based, and then, having the businesses run and, figure out how that works and going that way. So I've just been trying to balance it out, but I did some more online work, more coaching work. It's very much more ingrained into kind of my passions. I'm sure you can, through my energy, you can sense it. It's my direction I want to go. Yeah.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful.
Yeah, brother.
Well, let's get into our creative side, where I promised to do a bit of a magic trick, and you said you're going to do guide us through a meditation. So why don't you just kick that off?
Okay, let's
cool.
do it.
So, all right. So I've got a deck of cards here. I'm quite new to this, so let's give it a bash. So,
dude, I'm so game. This is great.
What I want to do is we're gonna have an imaginary. So we got a deck of cards here, and we got an imaginary deck of cards here. All right. So I'm gonna take the imaginary deck, and I want you to just use your hands and pretend and pick a card and pull it out. So imagine you're pulling one of my cards out.
Okay.
So actually take a card. Sort of like take it like that.
Okay. Okay, dude, this is mentalism in itself. Okay, right. I got it.
So pull it out, look at it, and tell me what you've picked.
Okay, you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
8 of diamonds.
8 of diamonds. Okay.
Yeah.
So now what I want you to do is put it back in, but put it back upside down so that it's the only upside down card in the deck.
Okay. Done.
Okay. All right. So now I'm going to take your deck. I'm going to transfer it into this deck over here.
Yeah.
And the only card that's going to be upside down in that deck is going to be your 8 of diamonds. Is that right?
Stop. Yeah, that is.
All right. So let's have a look. So I hope you can see this. But
I can.
A whole bunch of cards here. And let's check if anything's upside down. Oh, there's one upside down card.
Phil,
I don't know if you can see. There's one there.
Don't be playing games with me, man.
Is that your card?
No, it's not. It's actually not my card. Sorry. Next check. Listen, you bastard. What? You know what? I know this shit, Oak, because I love mentalism, right? So I watch Bashard. He's this crazy, fascinating bro who's crazy intelligent.
Yeah.
And, it's all influence, right? It's influence through X, Y, and Z and blah, blah, blah. It makes like a whole crowd of humans do what he wants them to, basically. Okay. Unbeknownst, yeah. So so I felt this thing. I was like, 8 of diamonds. And I was like, 8 of diamonds. I was like, why can't I pick another card? I'm like, well, I'm just gonna go with my intuition and say yes. So that's dick, bro. That's evil, man.
Maybe I'll put it in your mind, bro, without saying anything.
Dude, yeah, you're probably like, hi, I'm with Kyle, 8 of diamonds, and he's coming from Costa Rica, 8 of diamonds. Totally, brother, totally.
Some people like have like 8 of diamonds hanging up in the background, so subconsciously you pick it
Dude,
up.
I swear to God, well, it's real. I mean, that's what it is. It's all influence. That's what the whole media.
You seem to be breaking up there, man.
How are we now? We good?
Yep, you're back. Cool, dude. So tell us a little bit about your meditation before we dive into it. I'd love to hear what it's about.
So, I always kind of back into a very simple form of meditation when I break a routine and I haven't done something for a while. I don't want to complicate it too much, because when people, especially myself, what I've found is that it's like, get the situation. You know what I mean? And then it's, do I visualize? What do I do? Do I not focus on this? Do I not focus on that? Blah, blah, blah. And it gets confusing as a mofo. So the meditation I'll do is kind of what I like to really focus on myself with the meditation. So I'll pick up a guided meditation app or someone that has come to me randomly and use them. And recently I've used a guy, Sam Harris, is really, really, really cool. And his way of guiding is really, really, really great. It's very simple. So I kind of will model this after that.
Perfect.
So what we'll do is I'll do it with you. So just sit up straight. Obviously, anytime you meditate, it's nice to kind of have your energy centers aligned, sitting up, not lying down per se, because you get into more of like a falling asleep pattern. And you can put your hands on your knees, wherever you want. You can sit cross-legged as long as your back's kind of more straight up. I just want you to take a few deep breaths. And the whole time throughout this, I just want you guys to connect with your breath and your breath alone. And what we're going to be doing is just following very simple body movements and connections that'll help you focus on that and leave the thoughts to themselves. So what I want you to start with is I want you to count your breath. So as you breathe in, I want you to flow it in and count 1 just to yourself. And then as you exhale, count 1 again. And as you inhale, I want you to count 2. Kind of go throughout like 2, and then exhale. I want you to say 2 again, 2. But again, just to yourself. This is really help us, and just focus on that counting 3 and 3. And I want you to just keep counting the breaths. And what that's going to help you do is just focus on your breath and your breath alone. And the whole goal is to try almost kind of reach 10. Just as a very simple format. Not to rush. That's it. As you get on that in-breath, follow your whole breath. So what I like to do is count through the entire breath from midway to the end. Just focus on that counting of that breath as much as possible. It's going to connect you fully to your breath, which is our grounding element within this body. As you start reaching that 10 count, you can go even longer, but let's change it up a little bit. Let's start hearing. I want you to hear as many sounds as you possibly can. What we're doing senses and helping us connect with our surroundings, with our body, mainly, and just bringing us to center. And you're going to have a few thoughts that will come in, and all you want to do is be the observer of those thoughts. Let them come in and let them flow out effortlessly. There's never any judgment. Judgment never helps anyone, especially yourself. So all I want you to do is many sounds as possible. And because we live in an environment that has sounds and noises and cars, I want you to embrace that sound. We can't always hide away from it. So if you hear banging and knocking, I want you to embrace those sounds. Pick them out. Every single little sound you hear, I want you to focus. And remember, just keep breathing nice and easy. Right now, our focus is on the sounds. And as you start focusing on your breathing still, we're going to change it up a little bit. I want you to feel your body. I want you to feel the shape of your body. I want you to feel your hands. Can you feel the shape of your hands? The shape of your head? The feet? Try to feel the fullness of your body. And recognizing that everything you are thinking and in the same consciousness and awareness. And there's zero judgment. As thoughts come in, just be aware. Don't need to ask any questions why they're coming in. Just be aware of them. That's all we want. Feel your hands on your knees. Is it warm? They're cold. Your back against the chair. Feel the pressure. Are your ankles crossed? How does that feel? Just really feeling it. If you ever get lost, very easy to go back to the beginning, which is your breath. If you feel like you have many thoughts coming in, just go back to your breath and count 1 to yourself again, and 1. And always just go back to the breath. There's no judgment ever. Now, which could be a fun thing, is while you're meditating, is to, your first part is always to just simplify everything. Don't complicate it. Just focus on your sensations. Relax your mind. Now what you could do is visualize. And visualizing is a present moment of you doing something. Something you want to do in the future, or something you see within the day. The day already happening right now. Amazing, powerful, confident, strong, successful. You could visualize that. They say when you visualize having done something, it stimulates the same neurons as if you're actually physically doing it. So if I was picturing myself playing piano, the same brain parts light up than actually when I'm playing piano. So that's what you're programming into your mind. And that's where thoughts become things. And then last minute, I want you guys, once you've finished just quickly visualizing your day, go back to your breath. Just keep it simple. Start again. you should be feeling maybe a little sensation on the top of your head by your crown. I always feel like that's a portal, a gateway through our chakras, straight up into the ether. It's always a clear indication to me when I get deep enough. Okay. Bring yourself back. You can move your feet, your hands, just to bring yourself back slowly and gently. Remember, the whole point is to be easy on yourself. Love yourself, which is not always an easy thing, but it takes practice.
I don't know what's happened to our screen. Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you fine. How you doing?
Mine's gone blank, but I'm just going to leave it. I don't want to mess with the live broadcast.
No worries, bro. Cool, man. How was that? How'd you feel?
Hey, that was great, man. You know, any time for me to meditate is always good because I actually struggle to do it. I think my mind is often very busy. So even just a 10 minutes is fantastic for me.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
It's hard, you know, especially like for, I feel, masculine energy, which is kind of a directed energy. Like I always say, like an arrow. And the idea behind that is, you know, achieving, getting things done, of that kind of note, right? So the idea is, you know, as men to try, you know, get out of that a little bit and create more of the opposite, which would be like a chalice shape, which is more the feminine, right? Which is getting us into, 100% receiving, being vulnerable, being open to ourselves and allowing us to rest and relax. And meditation is, honestly, it's a beautiful tool to help organize your thoughts so you're not too overwhelmed by everything that comes in flux, because it's really hard for, obviously, you know, guys like you and me. I feel like we're very kind of like, thanks T, love you girl, by the way, just sending a shout out. She just sent some stuff.
Thank you, Tanya.
So Tanya is my partner in Vibrant Living Retreats.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So I'm happy she's listening. Love you, girl. Peace. Mwah. Always sending big ups. But yeah, so go back to it. It's, you know, it is a huge thing for guys like you and me who are very, I'm sure like most men, very, you know, go. And it's really hard to switch off. And sometimes I find it increasingly hard to switch off depending, you know, on my day. So it really does help big time. And the more you can meditate throughout the day, you know, even just to be aware of like the breath and going, okay, you know what? I feel a little overwhelmed, like I'm kind of running, just to literally slow down and go, okay, one, just to literally catch yourself. That is such a huge dynamic and change to your already fast program. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So something you said earlier really resonated with me, and it's the whole self-love thing. And I think it's resonating because it's something I'm struggling with at the moment. Have you maybe got any advice or tips for someone that's trying to step into the self-love space that's simple, you know, nothing too hectic, nothing too difficult to do, but just a simple practice that someone that's probably a busy person, which I'm sure a lot of people that listen to this are quite busy, that they could take on 5 or 10 minutes per day or do something for themselves?
Yeah, man. You know, I come across this with a lot of people. So, you know, they say, you know, oh, well, I'm, you know, successful in business. And I'm like, amazing. Okay, so how much? So you earn probably like 100K a week, you know?
Sure.
And I'm like, that's amazing. Well, you know, I mean, a lot of people here do really well, or have done well. And the whole idea is that, you know, they spent the majority of the 20s and 30s and 40s making that money, right? Which is basically, I go, okay, cool. So you made all this money, amazing. That's awesome. How much? So what are you looking for? Okay, you're looking for more self-healing, self-love in whatever regard. Normally it's just, you know, self-love, and how do I do that and how does it look? So I say, okay, well, how much time are you dedicating to this? So I like to go through this process because it gets you more aware of how much time you dedicate towards achieving something. So they spend, say, 80 hours a week working, and I'm like, that's great. That's because you are successful working 80 hours a week, you know? If I had to break it down and work out how much you're earning an hour, well, you know, depending on how much you've sacrificed and relationships you sacrificed, that could be a very low number. So I say, how much time have you spent on self-healing, self-love, or anything like that? And the majority of people say, well, wow, if I have to think about it, 0. So this is where we start on something small. And this is where I love habits. Habits are it's ingrained in humanity that if we can increasingly, do something repetitively every day, it increases the habits, and it basically, it's like the path through the grass. The more you do it, the more often through is, and essentially the more ingrained the path becomes. So the idea, right? This is work with like the simplistic ideology of habit building first. I think people have to understand that before I can say, well, self-help and self-love. I could say, well, do something that is only for you and you alone. And I could tell you all these things you can do, you know what I mean? That will be towards what Phil wants and what makes Phil happy. But I think you do first is cover the groundwork, which is when you build a habit, I don't do these 21-day things. Pretty much the more energy you put behind it, the quicker it will ingrain in your body. So I say, do this with nutrition. So I tell people, I'm like, okay, cool. I can say, if you want to lose weight or you want to do this, you can cut out 10 items, you can add 10 items and blah, blah, blah. But it gets too confusing and too overwhelming for humans, right? So we go simply. So I go, hey guys, okay, pretty much, if you want to lose a bit of weight and feel a little bit lighter, why don't we just cut out bread for a week? So, and they go, okay, well, dude, that's pretty simple. Let's do more. I'm like, no. We'll start with this. So the cutting out of the bread basically means, oh, well, fuck. I mean, it's bread. I can do that, So they cut it out. And after 7 days, I say, how is your emotional attachment to that? Which means, do you feel like you need bread? And often or not, they would go like, I kind of still feel like I kind of want bread. So I'm like, well, that's an emotional attachment, right? So then I go, okay, guys, so we're going to do another week. And at the end of the week, we're going to come back to the same situation and we're going to talk about it. So after about 2 weeks, they go, I have no desire or emotional connection to bread. So the idea behind that is you've broken a bad habit and therefore you can reintroduce a new habit, right?
I like that idea because I think a lot of people, as soon as you start that, they want to change everything at once. It's like, I want to play piano, I want to cut out bread, cut out sugar, go to gym, and it becomes overwhelming, and then they almost feel like they're a failure because they haven't done what they've said they were going to do.
Dude, totally. And it's funny, like I'm good with this, and I've actually come the last few months, more or less for me, has been a little bit of that. There's so many amazing things that we can do here. And for me, I get overwhelmed sometimes because I'm very social and I love doing everything. So what ends up happening is, the 20,000 classes I could do a day and the people I could meet at night, you don't do anything because it's too overwhelming. So now I've got to take my own pill and my own advice and go, okay, dudes, we'll slow down. Why don't you pick 1 or 2 things in the week that you really want to do and then go from there? At least you have structure. So it's creating a little bit of that structure and routine, and repetition is huge. So I tell people, I'm like, okay, so we've done the bread.
A bad habit right here. This is a terrible habit that's just come recently.
Well, hey, man. Well, I'll tell you what, you can help kick that, brother, man.
Hey, if you can, lovely.
Hey, man. Well, dude, I'm always open. But you know what helps a lot with smoking essentially is I have a few friends that do hypnosis therapy. So they go into the subconscious of where the root comes for you to be addicted to that thing.
I actually went through that. There's a guy here called Alan Carr, and I stopped smoking for a year. And then I just reached this point where I got quite depressed because I'd broken up with my ex, and it just hit me hard. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to smoke. And I think it's something that when we're feeling like down and we're feeling depressed, we like to do something destructive, whether it's smoking or drinking or drugs or sex or rock and roll or whatever your vibe is. It's almost so easy to just go there and feel sorry for yourself and say, well, I'm just going to do it anyway,
Yeah, totally. No, dude, 100%. It's a distraction, right? It's as much of a distraction as we can not to deal with the emotions inside. We can even call it spiritual bypassing nowadays, because it's like, even I went through it. What happens is you go through this understanding of something's wrong. You're going through something bad, a trigger, a trauma, pattern, whatever. And what you try to do is, okay, slow down. I need to meditate every day. Fucking, go do vinyasana, go to, do whatever, blah, 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 medicine this, medicine that. What that does is it creates a distraction from you actually dealing with the emotion itself. So what you're trying to do is actually not deal with the emotion, and you're actually going away from it. All you're doing is putting healthier options in front of it that are the same thing as smoking or drugs. It's just maybe a little bit healthier, but it's still it's as destructive,
mask,
to be
but
honest.
It's still a mask, right?
Yeah. So obviously it's a bit better of a vice, but it's still a vice nonetheless, you know. And I knew that going into a few of my last, you know, triggers over the last year, dating my amazing partner, you know, going through things I never thought I'd go through, which was fascinating.
Is she a mirror for you, brother?
100%. So that's it, you know. We go back to, you know, we call it like a, what is it, like a divine connection. You know, she would be my soul lady, right? And by that, it means that you're like your full-on true mirror of yourself, which means the pros, but also the cons, which means all insecurities and vulnerabilities that I never knew I dealt with or I thought I had, they came back full. And I was like, holy shit, I've never felt this vulnerable in my entire life. And I can cry and I can share and I can love, but there's certain things of just like, you know, holy crap, this is like so intense. And that's it.
We're quite similar in ways. I've also got that. It's almost like a gift, but it's also a responsibility to be a man, but to be able to have the soft side and the gentle side. And it can be easy to hide away from the world because of that and be embarrassed about it. But in fact, it's something that you should shine and show off to the world, because you can really help a lot of people that don't know how to connect with their darkness or their insecurities, you know. And a lot of people are actually hungry for that. So
dude, they want to connect. People need connection. That's simple. They need community, which communities are coming now with support, men support. I think man supporting man is huge, you know. Women have had a beautiful step forward in a lot of, like, you know, aiding and supporting of them for the divine feminine and just standing in power, talking truth. Men are now kind of like, oh, fuck, like I need to be vulnerable. I have to be vulnerable. I have to let go of my programming of this masculine toxicness. You know what I mean? But also trying to funnel out, you know, what is our purpose as men? Because we don't theoretically need to provide anymore financially. So we've lost a bit of our purpose of like, well, what does that look like? You know, how does holding space as a man within his family or within his relationship look like? So there's this big, you know, dichotomy that's happening now of people like, oh, wow, men are needing it. They're also a bit lost, which is why I feel the need to kind of get into this kind of like supportive male structure. So we have main groups here that we host and that we do on a bi-weekly basis. So yeah, man, it's really cool.
Cheers, Ozzy. Just saying goodbye to someone.
Ozzy, check you later, bro.
I'm part of a really interesting group called the Mankind Project here in South Africa, but it's an international movement. I don't know if you've heard of them. And we get together as men in a circle and we hold each other accountable and we share and we really just honest. And it's like 3 hours once or twice a week. You're welcome to get together and sit and share, and it's an amazing thing. And I think there's a lot of online groups now as well for men. So if you're going to be building something like that, that's incredible. I've also had an interest in possibly building something like that, because it's definitely needed. You know, I think especially if you look at a relationship, if either partner's not feeling safe, that's where shit starts to happen. So if you are a man and you know your girlfriend or wife triggers you and you get angry and shouts at her and show this like real aggressive energy, they can feel unsafe, and as soon as they start feeling unsafe, that's when the relationship starts to break down. That's what I've learned. So it's really important for us as men to, when that happens, when that anger comes, to breathe, control ourselves, take that anger somewhere else, whether that's a boxing bag or you want to write in your journal or you want to meditate about it, but don't take it out on your partner, because it's just going to...
Well, this is it, right? You know, I think there's a huge thing which I've kind of wanted to assess, which is abuse for women, because men are just where, you know, we come from an ideology of our dad, our parents, who essentially are we looking up to? You know what I mean? And a lot of parents are byproducts of their parents, which means you don't show emotion, you act out violently or aggressively and whatever, and verbally or physically. You know what I mean? You don't know how to harness it or hone it. And no one teaches you. They do not teach you this in school. They do not teach you anything of the sort, you know? So there's this understanding of like, that's where self-love comes in. And how does that look? Yes, we can punch a boxing bag and it's good to release that energy as like a male energy. But essentially, we really need to become a little bit more aware of our feminine side, which is our open vulnerability and so on, to release the programming we have of always needing to perform, always needing to provide, and how that looks. So it's, you know, and that's where the sharing and the accountability comes in. So men know they are not judged by what they say. and the container that
Yeah.
they're in is safe. So, and therefore they can take that back to their partner at home and kind of, have conscious communication talk, which
I'll share
is,
something
yeah.
with you that I found has really helped me with just embracing my nurturing side is gardening, man. Like it, I guess I refer to myself as an urban farmer because I live in Buccleuch, so it's a little bit out of the way, but it's close enough to Sandton,
Yeah,
and
I
I'm
love
growing
Buccleuch.
fruit trees everywhere and veggies, and I'm really turning this place into a beautiful garden. And what's amazing about that process is that you learn that, a little seed needs to be sheltered from the sun. It might, um, and as they start growing, you learn where to chop them off. If there's a dead branch, chop it off. If there's a dead leaf, chop it off. But be gentle with it. And it's just like that with ourselves. I think as men, we can be quite hard on ourselves. We can judge ourselves really harshly, but learning to look after plants has taught me so much, symbolically, how to look after myself, how to look after other people, how to hold space. Yeah, and I think it's one practice for me that's really worked.
Well, dude, you were asking me earlier, about, what you can do for self-love and so on and so forth. That is it.
Yeah.
You're already doing it. I would say, pay close attention to it. Keep it up. Manicure it, just as you were talking about as a metaphor for yourself. That we would call is feminine energy, right?
Yeah.
Because we all have, I think it's a good understanding for people to understand, okay, well, feminine and masculine energy is within each of us.
Yes.
The feminine represents kind of like open vulnerability, love, openness, and the male is presence. That's male energy, right? So, understanding that firstly, and then understanding that gardening is a beautiful tool to be feminine, to relax, to open up, to connect to Mother Nature. It's a huge, huge thing. And we're lucky here. I think it's a very feminine energy in Costa Rica, and I say that because we're constantly surrounded by. I mean, this is kind of. I'll take you a little show. This is my little balcony, and everything is trees, love, beauty, animals, and it helps you connect so well to yourself because you're constantly in nature. But the byproduct of that is also you go through a lot of work yourself.
For sure.
You don't want to go through a trigger or a pattern. Trust me when I say you're going to go through it, because we don't have the distractions here.
Yeah. And then the whole process of like taking out weeds can be quite difficult, especially when they're overgrown. But it's such a symbol of, your ingrained patterns. Like if you think of your brain, your neurons are going through. If you wake up every Monday morning and go, "Oh God, it's Monday, I have to work." That's it could be a pattern that's been there forever. And now to remove that weed means to redirect your thought, just like your meditation that we did now, to think about what you want and start creating new neural pathways. It's a really powerful way to make change. So I see that in the garden as well. It's almost like God or the universe or whatever it is has given us everything that we need.
Yeah.
But we seem to think we don't have enough. It's like the
Dude, 100%. Yeah. I still go through it. Like, no matter how much work you do, you still go through it. Like, I live at a beach in Costa Rica. Everything in my life is beautiful and incredible, and there's literally nothing.
I'm jealous, bro.
Legit. I mean, this morning, I woke up. So last night I was doing karaoke at a friend's house. This morning at 5:00, I was going to go see turtles on the beach.
Wow.
And that were exiting. And, one of the girls that works with me in my juice bar, was like, "Hey, listen, I'm going to show you out. You can, come out and I'll show you. And it's beautiful and so remote and so gorgeous." Wow. And then come back, have a beautiful conversation with you, and my gorgeous, amazing woman is cooking breakfast, and it's a beautiful life. But at the same point in time, I still go through these. I have to complicate this up. I have to be going through some type of pain. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's the thing. We always need to remind ourselves that it doesn't need to be this hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, my baby.
So let me ask you, are you missing South Africa at all? I mean, do you ever think about South Africa, or
dude, 100%. Yeah. Our lifestyle in South Africa is bar none. It's second to none, I think is the better expression.
Yeah.
I love Costa Rica because the energy here is incredible. I consistently am challenged here, mentally, physically, emotionally, which is why I love it. But in terms of just an amazing culture place, you can't beat South Africa. It's diverse. It's crazy cool. There's amazing people. It's entrepreneurial. It's young. It's a rainbow nation for a reason, right? So I went back recently And I always go back to Joey's. I love Joey's. It's got like a lot of kind of like,
And we just
Joey,
bloody
how's it,
World
brother?
Cup champs.
Dude, I know. Dude, I was so psyched. I was like, fuck, we dominated so much in the rugby. South Africa's the best. Just say. But dude, obviously, I think about it every time I go visit my family, man. It's it's my family, it's my people, it's my boys are there as well.
Your roots.
It's just like, your roots, man. So it's just, and I feel really connected to the Afro culture as well. I always have, it's very much ingrained in me. So I miss a lot of that.
Yeah.
But I understand my path now is where it is, and I can always go back when I want. So it's, I'm at peace with it.
What are the challenges in Costa Rica? I mean, what's difficult while you're there?
Dude, I would say it's if you live very simply, it's very easy. Like if you just like, I'm here, I'm just, making ends meet, doing what I want, surfing, simple. It's like, you can't beat it. You know what I mean? It's a very simplistic lifestyle that's super cool. As soon as you start kind of like opening a business and a few things like this, it starts becoming a little more complicated because they don't have maybe the infrastructure that South Africa has. So when you're like, oh, I want to start a business, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to buy a car, I want to, do these things. As a foreigner, it's not as easy unless you come in with a bunch of money, So I came in with pretty much nothing, lost everything like twice.
Yeah.
And then starting from scratch, earning things are crazy expensive here. And then again, just, starting business, you got to get corporations, getting into the whole kind of tax registry here. It is a difficult process. Anything municipality based or logistics based is very difficult, which also is kind of like, which makes it nice that, we have beautiful locations here, but dirt roads, which is amazing. But the dirt roads create a little more difficultness, in terms of like your car always needs to be, serviced and this and that, and everything breaks down, and the natural nature is trying to eat its way back, of anything mechanical here.
Sure.
So basically, it teaches you about attachments, man. It's if you start to be attached to material things, it's gonna hit you quite abundantly. That's not good. You know what I mean?
Do you have some interesting insects and animals and things around your house?
Oh yeah, always, man. We have like, dude, we have beautiful hummingbirds that come around and have these plants here. We have tons of scorpions. Dude, I love scorpions. Yeah, man, dude, like rays, eels. I mean, the amount of insects that we have is like crazy. We have these beautiful fireflies that come out, these green little fireflies that come out as well. We have this amazing algae that lights up when you touch it. Throughout the year, there'll be a few times where the beaches will have this algae, and you can literally go, literally you go play in the water and shit lights up, just like, and you're just like, what? You know what I mean? Like you smoke a joint and you go out in the ocean, you're like, this is magical.
I remember that happened to me in Thailand. I was with a mate of mine, Nick, and we were swimming at night. We were a little bit drunk, and I just noticed as I'm moving in the water, things are glowing around me. And there's just this seed. There's like a memory I've got of both of us just with our hands hitting the water, screaming, like trying to get our mates in South Africa to hear us, just going, woo, just like splashing the water. And things are glowing all around us.
Dude, it's wild,
That's
man.
incredible, man. Like you can't get that in Johannesburg, where you go to Sun City and you've got a bit of a false wave, but nothing.
Dude, legit, bro. I mean, look, Sun City is a cool little thing in itself. But it's not the same. It's not the same. Like, it's just, that's why traveling is so beautiful, because you get to really experience different cultures, places, and come back with perspective.
Exactly, man. Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Oh, that's beautiful, man. Beautiful. So I just want to say to those that are listening, if you got any questions, please do ask away.
Yes, please.
Comment below. And if you want to find out more about the Vibrant Living Retreats, which is what Kyle is running, you just go to vibrantlivingretreats.com. Very simple. vibrantlivingretreats.com.
That's it.
Beautiful website, by the way.
Thank you.
Simple and very easy to. That picture on the front of your website looks incredible. Is that actually where you're staying, or
Dude,
is that?
that was our original place in which we were hosting retreats. I took that with my phone.
Oh wow!
Legit. Wow. Like I was like, snap, and I was just like, dude, it was amazing. I was just like, holy shit. So that's in Samara, which is
beautiful looking,
which is where my partner Tanya lives. That's where I originally started in this country. And yeah, it's a really cute little enclave that we have, about say 4 or 5 rooms. It's simple. We take the woman out of their comfort zones. They're in a single bed. It's very simplistic in its nature, because you need to be, everyone needs to be outside their comfort zone essentially. When you are growing, you cannot be in the same environment that you're in if you think you're going to grow. You know what I mean? That's why changing it up is so important. Changing up the bed styles, really refining and simplifying your life to the necessities.
Tell me, do you guys offer plant medicine or anything like that? Is that something?
No. I'm very, we take plant medicine quite seriously down here. So when it's done by a shaman, or it's done by someone who's been in training for years.
Okay.
And it's normally like generationally. So, it's normally like someone who's 100 years old who's taught someone else who's like 80 years old. You know what I mean? So it's a lineage of the plants and how they, administer the plants. And we take it very, very, very seriously here, because we feel like it has been abused in a lot of senses, that it's become this new distraction and a new fad.
You know what? And it really has, like, I mean, I'll talk from my perspective. I started with plant medicine in Ecuador because my dad actually lives in Ecuador. And it was incredible. It was exactly like you say, passed down from generation, shamanic families and traditional people. But when I look at it now, it's like if you just type ayahuasca retreat or something like that on Google, you'll find it absolutely everywhere. And it can be quite scary, because that person's holding you in a space of your biggest vulnerability. And if you don't know who he is, you haven't done your research, he or she or whatever could completely mess you up if they got a bad
100%.
intention. So
Dude,
I think it's important to do your research before you go and dive in.
You're dealing with such intense energies here when these guys are like guiding spirits, bro, on different dimensions. This is what they do. So you have someone who doesn't know how to facilitate or hold space for you, because they can make a couple grand on you having an experience. I think it's so bad. It's like, you know what I mean? Because they could really fuck with your shit badly. And leave you, and then you're out, and they don't. 100%. And then, dude, when you're out there, we've opened up this bag of worms, but thank you for your 3 or 4 grand. We'll see you later, because we're not going to teach you anything of how to like take it back home. And they don't teach you integration, right? So the idea is, you want to be doing it with someone who is a shaman, someone who, essentially, or has been doing it in a community for a long, long time, and they were taught by someone who was a shaman. You know what I mean?
I've got some mates who did ayahuasca, and at the end of it, they felt more damage than before it. And there was no integration. There was no like, now for the next few days, do this. It was just like, come in, take it, goodbye. And that can be so destructive, man.
It can. I mean, look, honestly, like the whole thing with Aya or Iboga or DMT, and you're doing these things, like you will break away a lot of layers, and then some things will uncover that will leave you like, I wouldn't say damaged, just like really vulnerable and hurting, which is good, because that's really what self-healing is about, right? It's not rainbows and sunshine. But at the same point in time, it's very important to just know the lineage of the medicine that you're taking, and that this isn't some, person who took it once or twice and now wants to facilitate it and blah, blah, blah. Like there is 20 years of studying with a shaman to actually even like think about doing this, and I have lots of friends who, study under shamans, and it's a life thing. You do not do it part-time. It's not like you have a day job and then you do shamanism on the side. It does not work. You're living it consistently, and that's why it's so important,
100%, man. Brew, it's been really great chatting. Before I go, I want to just ask you one more question that interests me is, what is your sort of daily activity? Have you got like a schedule of things that you must do every day, or that you love to do, and you make sure that you put it in your weekly schedule, or do you just sort of see what Costa Rica brings you day by day?
Dude, both. So I have a schedule generally, and so I've kind of diversified it a bit, but I'm trying to nail it down a little bit better in terms of just structuring my life. Because it can be very spontaneous and very easy, but also very, like overwhelming if you don't structure what you're doing. So in the morning, generally, I wake up, I have some water always. First thing that hits my system, I meditate. I meditate for 10 minutes. I keep it simple, nothing crazy. From there, then I'll probably go have a coffee, and then a coffee, I'll go to work, and then work, Monday to Friday is my jam. And then I'll just be in work. I'll do what I need to do over, say, 5-6 hours.
And
then
that's
I
your
will,
juice bar, right?
yeah, that's the juice bar for sure. And so that's kind of, my general thing. And then depending, once I have that, it allows me to go, oh, you know what? I feel like surfing tomorrow. Let me hit up a mate.
Nice.
Hey, let's do this or let's do that. Or, oh, there's this new thing. So what I'm trying to do is just really refine my week work-wise, but mainly is fun-wise, which means I got to make sure that I'm, needing to do yoga twice a week. So I'm trying to organize that with a friend where dude, twice a week we're going to do yoga. Twice a week we're going to do a sound healing. So at least say 3 things in a week I want fully scheduled, and that is giving back to me. You know what I mean? So it needs to be restorative. It needs to be restful, which is, and that's another thing. If you want to just do something that's receiving based, it needs to be something that's really receiving when you're not giving energy, which looks like sound healing. It looks like, let's just say yin yoga, very slow stuff. Anything where you're not doing anything and you're kind of just more relaxing into it, that would be receiving.
So it's doing things that bring you joy, right?
Yeah, it's doing things that bring you joy, and there's a but in this, because things that bring you joy makes you fully present. It's good. It's amazing. But what I feel is I enjoy surfing, but surfing is a more masculine energy. You're achieving. You're dominating the wave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a very different. So I come out and I'm like, fuck. Actually, I felt like I gave energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas if I do something like just go to the beach and relax and lie down, that is receiving energy.
Yes.
I come back feeling, I feel a little bit restored. It's like restorative yoga. That's the reason why it's invented, so it can restore your energy. But if you're doing hardcore yoga, it'll get you into your body and you'll feel great, but you'll feel like you've extended more energy than received, I feel.
So I was at a friend's house last night, a woman called Renata, and she introduced me to Kundalini yoga.
Yeah.
And it's an incredible thing, man, because especially for me, I've lower back pains my whole life. So it's really starts building down like your sacral area.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the word is, but I call it a knape. It's like when you having a wee and you stop yourself from weeing. It's that muscle, which I didn't realize is so difficult to actually hold that for just like say 30 seconds. You won't believe how difficult that is for me.
Your perineum, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And learning to control that is something that's a new path that I'm starting now, man.
Good. Dude, they call it, I think it's the Kulabandha. So it's like holding in your chi, right? So it's like, having sex and not coming, essentially. What that means is you're holding in all your vital chi, your vital energy by not doing it. Essentially, you can even, press that point, your perineum, breathe into it and actually like press it almost like it's flowing energy upwards. So there's that. There's like a whole bunch of work that you can do with that, obviously based on Kundalini and so on and so forth. But yeah, dude, like the Kundalini breath work, get into it. It's really powerful.
Yeah, I agree. Carl, thank you so much for being on the show, man. Really appreciate your energy. Really appreciate your vibe. I hope to see you soon, man. Next time you're in SA, you've always got a place to come stay or come visit, but I'm sure you got plenty places because you're that kind of guy. And I'd love to come and visit you, man. I probably will be in Ecuador at some stage visiting my dad, and when I'm there, Costa Rica is next on my books, Bruce. So.
Dude, hit me up, brother. Hit me up. It'll be. I'll give you the 411, man. It's really cool. You would love it. Yeah, brother.
And lastly, how can people get in touch with you if they want to? Huh?
So the best way now is, we have our retreats. You can get through us there if you want. But obviously, my one-on-one coaching and all this kind of dynamics that I'm getting back into, you can just hit me up just through my Facebook.
Fantastic. So that's Carl Mitri on Facebook and
just Carl Mitri on Facebook. Yeah, that's it.
Perfect,
right on,
brother.
Big guy. Dude.
Thank you, man. Really, really great to chat to you, brother.
Absolute pleasure, big guy. Absolute pleasure. Man, have a beautiful day. And peace out to the listeners.
Cheers, bro.
Cheers, big guy.